The perfect digression, perhaps, at this moment in the week. The continuing impact of the words that Eddie Betts has spoken on this program now across 2 seasons. They are words that have been taken up on the floor of federal parliament, and now they've been taken up by the country's most treasured songwriter, Paul Kelly. The song today released every step of the way. He told the tale to Mark Howard.
You know, the footy show AFL 360 is one of the regular footy shows that I watch, and Eddie Betts was on there last year, I think
yes.
about June last year, and Jared and Robbo were talking to him about the recent. He'd spoken up recently about some abuse he'd received online. He said in that interview at least 3 times, if I recall, he said, "I'm sick and tired."
I've always said to myself, well, I've done nothing wrong. Like, why can't you just come and enjoy the game of footy? And I think, you know, what the only problem that they have with me is that I was born black, and I guess I believe that's the only problem that they have with me, and I guess, you know, I'm just sick and tired of it.
Eddie came on 360 again, like very recently, a few weeks ago.
It was.
And it was just like, here we go again. So nothing's changed, or in fact, it even got worse.
It just keeps happening. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of fighting. It's draining.
So that was the start of the song, which is the first line of the chorus. I'm so sick and tired of keeping it all inside.
Oh, I'm so sick and tired of keeping it all inside. I'm so sick and tired today. I remember the old ones are traveling. They're with me every step of the way. The old ones are walking beside me, each and every step of the way.
So part of those conversations were who would stand with Eddie Betts, who would take up the fight, and Paul Kelly has done that. It's our great pleasure to have both with us tonight. Paul, fantastic to have you on AFL 360. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And
Hi, Jared.
Eddie Betts, always great to have you here, Ed.
Thanks, Jared. It's good to be back on.
So, Paul, just before we delve any further, when you put a song out into the world, and you are a veteran of this now, across the first few hours, are you acutely aware of how it's received, or do you just gently let them go these days for people to take in as they choose?
I've been keeping an eye on this one. It's probably different to other songs I've released because, I've been in touch with Eddie about it, and we made a plan that it would come out and that we would sort of post about it at the same time or on the same day. And it's sort of a close to the bone song, and I'm a little bit nervous about it. I have been ever since I wrote it, because it's a song where I've taken Eddie's imagined voice and wrote the song from there. So that was why when I was thinking about should I put the song out, I reached out to Eddie to talk about it.
When you first heard it, Eddie, what did you think?
It was a bit emotional, Jared, to be honest. Listening to it, it felt like, Paul could feel exactly how I was feeling and what I was thinking, and, with those words. And I first heard it a month ago, and, like we said, I've been in contact with Paul and trying to find a date that we can bring it out and post about it together. And it was pretty amazing. But I'm very honoured that an Australian music icon is written a song about myself. And when I first heard it, Jared, I was a bit emotional.
Paul, give us an insight, if you would please, into the process and how it actually came about. Do you seek Eddie's permission before you actually write the lyrics, or do you write the lyrics and put it all together and say, "Hey, Eddie, this is what I've put together. Are you comfortable with it?"
I wrote the song first. I mean, songs aren't really planned. I didn't sit down and think I'm going to write a song about Eddie, so I better talk to him about it. It's really like as you saw, the song started with a voice. I'm sick and tired of it, and that was the voice I heard, and that became the chorus. And I wrote the song, as I said, imagining Eddie's voice. I wrote the song. This is over a year ago now. I wrote it and just sat on it for a while. We were going to record some songs last year, but of course, COVID shut all that down and lockdown. Couldn't even get into the studio to play with the band. But we got into the studio in March, so did quite a lot of songs then, and that was one of them. And again, I was just thinking, what am I going to do with this? And it was really when Eddie came on that second time and talked about how things were still just as bad, if not worse, that I thought I'd get in touch with Eddie and tell him about the song and say, what do you think?
What do you hope comes of it, Paul? So maybe I'd ask you, what's your perception of Eddie? I feel like Eddie will change the country if we support him enough, if we give him the platform to speak. What's your view of Eddie Betts?
Look, I think he's a person of great courage, grace and generosity. I mean, he's given me lots of joy over the years watching him play footy. I'm a Crows barracker, so that's been a joy. But as many people have said, I think everyone from all supporters of all the teams love watching Eddie play. It's been such a great thing for our game, and the fact that he's copped so much abuse, but he's kept talking about it. He could have gone quiet about it and just dealt with it another way. But it was painful to talk about it, but he still did. I mean, you could see it on those clips you showed before. So I can't speak of him highly enough. And his response when I first gave him the song was testament to the man.
I think Eddie played footy with more creative licence than anyone almost in the history of the game. Paul, did you give him the same sort of creative licence on the song and the tune and any of the lyrics? And Eddie, how much sort of musical talent do you actually possess yourself? Are your fingerprints all over this one as well?
No, Nick. My fingerprints are not all over this one. Like I said, Paul got in contact about a month ago and said I've written a song about you, and showed me it. I listened, and like I said, I got emotional, and because I grew up, listening to Paul Kelly in the backyard with all my uncles and cousins, and for him to get in contact and write this song about me was it's really touching and moving. I showed my mum this morning because that's when it was released, and she started crying, knowing that a sense that this song has touched her as well. And as Paul's written this song about me, but it would touch a lot of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in this country. They could reflect and see themselves in this song, knowing that this is what they deal with, this is what they put up with every day. And it's funny, I was laying in bed this morning with my two daughters, and the song was released, and I played it, and I got really emotional when they said, I close my eyes and I'm dreaming of a world where they can just be, speaking about my children. And that got me really emotional, because I'm wishing and hoping that we will get to that where they can just be, and not deal with racism here in Australia. So, yeah, it was very moving. But Nick, to your question, I'm just a listener.
Does it give you faith, Eddie, that people have heard you and people are ready to take up what you asked us to do?
Yeah, the support that's being shown, not just the people that are standing up against it, that are calling it out when they hear it or see it, that casual racism. So, it is. We are moving forward together as one, but it's just baby steps at the moment. But like I said, if you do, it's not up to me. It's up to everyone else to make change, and I think that we're going in the right direction, Joe.
Eddie, thank you. Paul, it's great to have you as part of 360. It is a little bit flattering that we're part of your regular viewing.
Love the show.
Good on you. Paul Kelly and Eddie Betts. So beautiful lyrics.
Yep.
Beautiful lyrics.
Absolutely.
We got the printout of them just to take them all in every step of the way is the song.
You're right too. My mum always said you're never quite sure who's watching. I'm not sure it applied to this context, but to know that Paul Kelly is watching, it's a good feeling. And you're right. I think these are all the little steps and building blocks that I'm sure when Eddie poured his heart out the last time he was on 360, speaking about what we just spoke about then, that he would have hoped that these steps occurred, and they're occurring.
We need to prove it over and over and over.